Oh my god. I'm not crying, you are. What a race. Oh my goodness. The emotions are crazy right now after the British Grand Prix. Wow. In case you haven't heard, I'm going to spoil it right now. Lewis Hamilton wins at home in Silverstone, breaking the record for the most number of wins ever at a single circuit with 9 wins. He's won 9 times here. And yet his last race was 2021 in Saudi Arabia, 2.5 years. Oh my goodness. It's crazy that it's been that long for Lewis for him to get a win. Man, when he came in, he won the race, and Bono said over the radio, I forget what he said, and Lewis tried to respond to Bono, and he was just crying in the car. You could just tell over the radio, and that's when I was just like, at first I was disappointed. I was like, "Are you kidding?" All I was thinking about was Lando Norris missing out, and I'll get into that. But then when Lewis came over the radio, and it kind of hit me how emotional it was for him, I was like, oh my, it just kind of everything just kinda came together, and I was just instantly so happy for him, you know? I've really come to like Lewis after, watching the battle with him and Max in 2021. When I first started watching, I was very anti Lewis. He was the dominant driver, and then seeing how he conducted himself with his battle with Max really gave me a lot of respect for him. And then seeing him, I think, kind of the same thing that happened to Sebastian Vettel when once he stopped winning, everyone kind of started to like him. I think over the last few years, since Lewis has not been winning, people have really come around to him, and especially me, and really appreciated him more for just the way that he is and the way that he conducts himself, and how grateful he always is. And then to see him win this race after all of that struggle was just, oh, it's amazing. And what a difficult race. Like, holy cow. This race had everything. It starts out dry, then it goes kind of half wet, and it rains, but everybody stays on the dry tires because it's only a short rain cell. Then it dries out again, and then it goes back to heavy rain. Everyone switches to the inters, but then it stops raining again just as soon. So then everyone has to switch back onto the slick tires. Oh, it was so crazy. So many critical decision points, so many different phases of the race, and the entire time there was legitimately 5 cars in the race for the lead. Like, realistically, it could have been anybody's race. It was just so good. I don't want to go into too much detail about any one specific race here. I just want to capture the emotion after watching that because it was unreal. Of course, just to give you a little bit of overview of how things went down. So George Russell starts on pole, Lewis is in second, and the first phase of the race, nothing really happened. It was just tire management. Everyone was waiting for the first cell of rain that was coming in about 15 laps. So everyone's on, slick tires, heavy fuel, nothing crazy happening. They're all just managing. Max did get past Lando from fourth into third off the beginning, but McLaren didn't seem too stressed about that. They were just waiting to warm their tires up. And then the first bit of rain comes, and everyone just pushes through. It's not enough rain to switch onto inters, except for Leclerc and Perez and Ocon, I think, which was a horrible mistake from them. And then it dries out, and then the second piece of rain starts coming in. And oh no, the first piece of rain comes in, and it gets a little bit wet, but it's not wet enough for slicks, as I mentioned, or not wet enough for inters. But with that being a little bit slippery, McLaren has much more downforce, it seems, and Lando gets past Lewis and George for the lead. Lewis gets past George for second, so now Lando's leading the race. And then it seemed like Lando had control of the race from that point. He was on the he gets ahead when it's wet. Oh man, my emotions are going crazy. He goes, so Lando's leading. It dries out again. This is the second phase of dry, and then they know there's going to be a second rain cell, so it's going to start raining again. And yeah, now you've got Lando in first, Lewis in second, George in third, with Piastri closing in on him. And then it starts raining again. McLaren makes a good move, brings Lando in at a good time to put him on inters. They leave Piastri out. Uh, they leave Piastri. Actually, Piastri had gotten up to second at this point. Man, I'm getting everything mixed up. So it was a McLaren 1-2 by the time the second rain comes. They pit Norris, but they leave Piastri out for an extra lap. He loses a ton of time, ends up coming out in fifth, I believe. But Norris maintains the lead, and then it starts drying out again. He's still on the lead, so it's Lando, Lewis, and then George actually retired with what they said was a water issue. Really unfortunate for him after starting on pole. Of course, it's also his home race, and it's Lando's home race, so they're all trying to win, right? And we're getting to the final stages of the race. There's about 12 laps to go. The track is drying. They're on inters. It's still Lando in the lead by about 3 seconds. And then Lewis and Verstappen. So the question is, when do you come in to pit for the dry tires, and which dry tires do you go on? Right. So Max has hard tires available, so he goes for hards. He's in thirds. Mercedes only has soft tires, so they go for soft. McLaren has soft tires and medium tires, right? So Hamilton pitted first. Remember, Norris is in first, but Hamilton pits first and goes on softs, and he has such a quick outlap that by the time Norris pits, Norris comes out behind. The question is he going to go on the mediums or is he going to go on the softs? He chooses to go on the softs to cover Hamilton, and he just had too bad of degradation. So it was Hamilton in first on softs, Norris on second on softs. And if Norris would have been on the mediums, he certainly could have caught Lewis and passed him. By the end of the race, Piastri, Norris's teammate, was doing 2 seconds a lap quicker than Hamilton. But so if Norris had been on those tires, it's almost guaranteed he would have won. So then that that is what won Hamilton the race. McLaren's pit decision won Hamilton the race because if they had gone on mediums, he would have won. The fact that he didn't meant Norris fell back from Hamilton into the clutches of Max on the hard tires. Max got past him, so you finish with Hamilton, Verstappen, Norris, still two British drivers on the grid. But yeah, that's the main story today is just Hamilton's win. It's crazy how long it's been, and for such a difficult race, Hamilton, again, Norris fell 7 seconds off the lead from Hamilton on the same set of tires. That's how well Hamilton drove at the end of the race to manage those tires. Just such a champion's drive. He's 100% back in it. He's only 1 point behind Russell now. Now, also keep in mind, Russell retired from this race. So Lewis gained 25 points on Russell. And he's also, Hamilton's still getting demolished by Russell in the qualifying. But before Russell retired, Hamilton still got past Russell in the wet conditions on the dry tires, which just goes to show Hamilton's car control. Man, the whole time I didn't want Lewis to win. I wanted Norris to win, even though I said before I didn't think he was going to get it. Oh, does it suck? It sucks. This is the same as qualifying. I thought Norris wasn't going to get pole, and he didn't, but it was Mercedes that won. In the race, I thought Norris wasn't going to win, but I thought Max was going to beat him. And I guess he did in a way. But the fact that Lewis comes back, oh man, I'm rambling. But it's amazing. I can't wait this week to get into all of the strategy decisions and the pace difference on the in laps and the out laps. There are also a couple surprising things. No safety cars, no virtual safety cars, no red flags. It was just a race start to finish. There was like a couple cars went wide on some corners. That was it. That was all that happened as far as um, like drama. You had Gasly retire early with a gearbox issue, and then Norris or Russell retire. That was it. Really, there wasn't anything else. There was like no accidents, no spinning off, no crashing. Yeah, pretty boring race from that perspective, but such a. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. It was just crazy, just crazy. Yeah, stay tuned this week for some breakdowns because there is so much to go through here. It's going to be a wild one. Next race is Hungary in 2 weeks. That's July 19th. So we've got 2 weeks to go through some of the data here for the British Grand Prix. Wow. Wow. Congrats, Lewis. Absolutely goated drive. Well deserved win. Very emotional win, seeing him hugging his dad, him and Bono just bonding the whole time. Man, it was good to see, good for the sport. Yeah, I can't help but wonder. Part of me wonders how much Mercedes paid McLaren to put Lando on that soft tire at the end, because that's what won Lewis the drive, and fair play to them. But yeah, again, another head scratcher for Norris and another record for Lewis Hamilton. Yeah.